April 8, 1943. 27,000 feet above occupied France. Oberleutnant Rolf Hermeken adjusted his oxygen mask and smiled. Through the crystal-clear canopy of his Focke-Wulf 190, he watched the enemy below, huge, slow silhouettes clawing their way upward. American fighters. New ones. "They've sent us flying milk bottles," he radioed to his wingman, laughing. Below him, 16 P-47 Thunderbolts climbed in tight formation. Each weighed nearly 7 tons, powered by massive 2,000 horsepower radial engines straining for altitude. To German pilots used to sleek Messerschmitts and nimble Spitfires, these aircraft looked ridiculous. Barrel-shaped fuselages, oversized propellers, wings that seemed far too small. They looked like targets. What Hermeken didn't know, what none of the German pilots circling above could imagine, was that they were witnessing the arrival of the aircraft that would destroy the Luftwaffe. The P-47 Thunderbolt wasn't designed to be elegant. It was designed to survive. Born in panic in June 1940, as Germany tore through Europe, the U.S. Army Air Forces demanded a high-altitude interceptor. Republic Aviation's chief designer, Alexander Kartveli, delivered something nobody expected: a monster. "It will be a dinosaur," he told his team, "but a dinosaur with good proportions." The prototype shocked everyone. Nearly 10,000 pounds empty, a massive turbo supercharger buried deep in the fuselage, an 18-cylinder Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engine. Test pilots looked at it and asked the same question: "This thing actually flies?" It did, and at altitude, it flew like nothing else on Earth. In spring 1943, the Thunderbolt entered combat, and the Germans were unimpressed. It couldn't turn with a Messerschmitt 109. It couldn't climb like a Focke-Wulf 190. At medium altitude, it handled like a truck. German ace Joseph Priller summed it up perfectly. "It flies like a freight train and climbs like a pregnant cow." In the first month, American units lost 14 P-47s for just 3 German kills. Even the British RAF quietly suggested the Americans rethink their aircraft. But something strange was happening. The Thunderbolts that went down didn't explode easily. They were taking astonishing damage and still flying. On June 26, 1943, Second Lieutenant Robert S. Johnson learned exactly what the P-47 was. His aircraft was shredded by cannon fire at 27,000 feet. The canopy shattered, the engine burned, controls barely worked. A German fighter pulled in behind him and fired everything it had. Johnson couldn't maneuver, he couldn't see, he could only wait. The Thunderbolt absorbed every round. The German pilot flew alongside, stared in disbelief, shook his head, and saluted. Johnson landed safely in England. His crew chief stopped counting bullet holes after 200. The message was clear: this aircraft was nearly impossible to kill. By mid-1943, American pilots finally understood: don't turn, don't dogfight, use the weight of the Thunderbolt. From 30,000 feet, a P-47 could dive faster than any German fighter, approaching 550 miles per hour. And when it fired, 8 synchronized .5 caliber Browning machine guns, 3,400 rounds, 6,000 rounds per minute, a 6-foot cone of pure destruction. German pilots described it as flying into a wall of lead. Aircraft didn't fall, they disintegrated. By late 1943, German intelligence reports had changed tone completely. Exceptional high-altitude performance, extreme structural strength, firepower devastating. Then came the paddle blade propeller in 1944.
Suddenly, the fat American fighter could climb with German aircraft and outrun them in a dive. One German veteran wrote, "These are not the machines we laughed at last year." The Thunderbolt now escorted bombers deep into Germany, then turned into the deadliest ground attack aircraft of the war. Trucks, trains, tanks, columns erased in seconds. German troops learned to fear a single sound: thunder. On June 6, 1944, over 500 P-47s dominated the skies over Normandy. German fighters tried to reach the beaches. Most never returned. One German pilot reported, "Thunderbolts were stacked from sea level to 30,000 feet. You couldn't climb over them. You couldn't dive under them. The sky belonged to America." By 1945, the Luftwaffe was finished. Not because German pilots lacked courage, but because courage cannot fight industrial reality. America built 15,684 Thunderbolts, one every hour, around the clock. Pilots arrived with 400-plus hours of training. German pilots arrived with less than 100. One German ace admitted, "They didn't beat us with better tactics. They buried us under steel and fire." In 1985, former German ace Adolf Galland said it best, "We laughed in 1943. We stopped laughing when we heard those guns. Once you heard them, you never forgot." The P-47 Thunderbolt entered the war as a joke. It ended it as an executioner. The flying milk bottle didn't need to turn. It just pointed its guns, and the sky went silent.